Hey, thank you so much for checking out this episode of the Selah Leaders Podcast. My name is Nick Newman. I'm here with my good friend Darren Zook, your podcast guide for the day, and man, we're excited to be here.
Yeah, this is it's crazy to think that we're wrapping up 2023, right?
This is our last podcast of the year, and this is probably the podcast that we have filmed closest to the release date. This is what Friday, and this is dropping Monday.
Yeah.
And so normally we film pretty far in advance, but the last season has been crazy. A lot, is going on in our church. A lot's been going on in Selah Leaders, and
Yep.
we ran 3 lead pastor getaway events. I'm in my goat era,
Yeah.
which is, I've quit coloring my beard now, at least for right now.
It looks good though.
And so I got these hot white streaks going on. So, I call it my goat era. If you look up a billy goat, it looks pretty close.
I like it. Yeah.
And so, man, I'm excited to kind of wrap the year up and dig into some content today.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, this is like you said, it's been kind of a crazy season. You and I have both been traveling a lot too, which I think has only led to some of the distance that we've put between some of these episodes. But
Yeah.
I agree. I'm really eager to get into kind of wrapping up the year and talking through what does preparing for next year and the next season ultimately look like. So yeah, what do you want to talk through today?
Man, I mean, the big thing that I wanted to chat through was what it looked like to build sustainably in 2024.
Oh, that's good.
So, we're ending one year, and every time your year ends, it creates this opportunity for you to kind of hit pause and reflect, figure out, what all went well last year, what didn't. And so what I want to do is I want to talk about kind of some assessment stuff for this year, how to end 2023 really well, because here's what we believe: how you end one season really makes a difference in
That's
how
right.
you enter into the next.
Yeah.
So if we just go, whatever happened, it is what it is this year, and we just move on, that's not helpful for leaders.
Yeah.
Leaders live by assessments. So we have to assess what happened in 2023. And so the first thing that we recommend doing is in your 2023 year. So between the time you watch this episode, which it comes out the first Monday of December, to the end of the year, we want you to do a personal end of year review for yourself.
Yep.
Where you this doesn't have to be a 4-hour exercise.
No.
Now, some of y'all gonna make it a 4-hour exercise, and you can totally do that. For me, this is probably like a 30-minute thing.
Mm-hmm.
It might not even be that long. It just depends. I've got a flight coming up last week on my flight, I did my year-end review. So I flew to Louisiana. That's like an hour and a half flight. I just did it on one of those because it gave me the opportunity to kind of hit pause.
Yeah.
And so it's not super in depth. There's 2 really big questions that I ask myself in my year-end review. The first one is, what went well this year? If we're not careful as leaders, we forget the power of celebration.
Yeah.
If you ask me what didn't go well, I can laundry list it, right? I've got my top 7 things. And I think even in our context, we do a lot of Sunday morning stuff.
Yep.
I'm the lead pastor of a church. And so if you asked me, what didn't go well on a Sunday morning, I could give you 14 things.
Yeah. We have those debriefs a lot.
Yeah, and it's really easy to find negative stuff. It's a lot harder to find positive stuff. But most of us are winning way more than we realize.
Yeah.
So what went well? And if you hit pause for just a few minutes and really deep dive into what went well this year, it spurs on this whole new level of gratitude in your life. And so my encouragement is for you to go, what went well?
That's so good.
As you look from January to December, what went well in 2023? You may have had a horrible year, but something went well. So take time to dig there, pause there, and don't move past it until you get it. For some people, you'll go, nothing went well. This was horrible. No. Something went well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like somebody randomly, if at the very least, if you could say, I woke up in 2023, I'm still alive, I still have breath in my lungs. Like there's an opportunity to be grateful. So
right.
what went well this year? And then what was incredibly difficult this year? I think sometimes as leaders, we have to be careful in bringing distinctions between bad moments and bad seasons. Like some of us call bad moments bad seasons. You didn't have a bad season; you had a bad day.
Yeah.
Like there's a big difference
Huge
between
difference.
those things. What was incredibly difficult? You're a leader, so this is a leadership podcast. Did you lose somebody? I'm not saying they died, but did maybe they did. Maybe that was incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Maybe. In the world we live in, life is not promised to any of us.
Right.
And so maybe you lost somebody close to you. That could have been your incredibly difficult thing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there was somebody that you were leading that's no longer on your team. We pastor a church, so there's people who leave all the time.
Yeah.
And so maybe there's somebody that's leaving, and that's incredibly difficult for you. Maybe a team member let you down. Maybe you didn't get the promotion you thought you were going to get. Maybe you and your spouse are having conflict. I don't know what was incredibly hard for you. I do know that because life is life, there was something that was incredibly difficult.
Yeah, very much. Yeah.
The temptation is to compare your difficulties to somebody else's. That's why this is a personal year-end review, right? We're not comparing our terrible stuff to somebody else's terrible stuff. What went really well and what was incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
Those two things give you kind of a snapshot of what your year looked like. And then as we kind of come out of that year-end review, we go straight into new year tweaks.
Mm-hmm.
So what do I want to do differently next year? And so kind of in that same assessment vein, there's a couple of questions that I ask myself going into a new year. The first one is, what's my assignment for 2024? Like every single one of us have different assignments. The temptation, again, is to compare our assignment to somebody else's. But every one of us have been given a unique assignment to do in the next season. Some of those are macro assignments. Some of those are micro assignments, right? Your macro assignment is the big stuff. You might be called to go into a new job this year.
Yeah.
Macro assignment, right?
Yeah, very much.
Darren, you're kind of in that season, right? Your company just got bought out.
Yeah, it's been a weird season for me. Like, and like, I was thinking back through like even some of your questions, thinking about the personal year-end review. Like, what was incredibly difficult? Going through a season of change where you're watching, the company and culture that you've been a part of for the last 5 years transition into something else. That's really hard. And so, yeah, I think that's a big part of it from the standpoint of that macro assignment. Now looking forward, for me, it's now, okay, like what changes in my job, in my day-to-day?
Yeah.
Do I've got to go to an office instead of working from home? Like, what does all that look like? And so that's very real. And that's something that I think all of us definitely need to look at when we think about the year ahead.
Yeah. And that's why that like macro, micro kind of assignment thing is really cool to think through, because your macro assignment is this thing with this new company.
Yeah.
Your micro assignment might now be going into an office,
Yeah.
not what you want to do, but those are little tasks that you do to help accomplish your bigger assignment overall. And every person has a unique assignment. So I was praying last weekend in one of our worship experiences. I think it was the 10:30, and while it was going on, I was praying, and I wrote down, like, as I was praying, God said that 2024 was a year of expansion.
Come on.
And I was like, it's not that I'm like dreading expansion. I
Yeah.
love it. Our church is growing. Selah Leaders is growing.
Yeah.
Everything seems to be growing. I pray that part of that expansion is like in my family. My wife and I have been trying to have a baby. And so I want that expansion. But expansion's also like, it's exhausting at times.
Can be.
And so I was like, Lord, what does expansion look like? And I wrote, what I felt like God said was like, write 3 books. So now I have a macro assignment that's broken. Micro assignments are each individual thing.
Yeah.
I got one that's supposed to publish on Amazon like soon, because I've run my December to December. So this one's counting in my 3.
That's right. Come on.
But, I think that it's really important for us to know our assignment going into the new year, because everything you do should flow from your assignments. Like, probably in 2024, we'll do a whole podcast on learning how to say no.
Come on.
And it's really easy when you know your assignment.
Yeah.
I had
It's a
shared
lot
it.
harder when you don't.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I shared it just with one of our team, and they ended up talking about it in a message last Sunday. But like last year, I said no to over 60 something speaking engagements. It's not that I didn't have the calendar capacity to go to a lot of those, because I did. It's that it wasn't part of my assignment. When you know your assignment, your yes becomes a whole lot easier.
Yeah, that's good.
Your no becomes a whole lot easier because you know what you're doing. So what's your assignment for the year? And then the next question is, what rhythms are necessary for my assignment? What rhythms are necessary for my assignment? So I just kind of shared mine, like, hey, I'm going to do 3 books next year. Well, I already talked to my assistant, and next year for me, there's a lot of intentional calendar time for book writing. There's actually some dedicated time on the calendar for me to go away and do book writing. Why? Because that's my assignment. So as you look at the rhythms you have, some of those things might need to tweak. Maybe part of your assignment next year is to lose weight. Well, there's probably going to have to be a rhythm to go to the gym, a weight loss. Maybe you're trying to get healthy. And so rest needs to become part of that
Come
rhythm.
on. Yeah.
Like, we believe in rest a whole lot
Yeah, we do.
as Selah leaders.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what that looks like for you, but I do know rhythms are crucial, and discipline will help you in whatever assignment you have.
Yeah.
They're absolutely vital and absolutely necessary, because we've said it from the beginning. We're disciples of Jesus. This is a biblical podcast. You do not get disciples without discipline.
That's right.
There's like 3/4 of the word in the word. You know what I'm saying? Like, the word discipline is in the word disciple.
Yeah.
There's just a few letter tweaks. And so we've got to be disciplined people. And discipline looks different for every single person.
Yep.
You're going to be real frustrated if you live in comparison for like your disciplines compared to other people. I got ADHD. Don't nobody want my disciplines, because like most people will think I have none. And then randomly, like, I'll get super disciplined for like 2 weeks, and then you got to figure out what works for you, and then run that race.
Yeah, I mean, I know, we talk, obviously, Selah leaders, we talk a lot about just that rhythm of rest and establishing that as a leader. And I know for me, like, one of the big things that I had to discipline myself with this year is just recognizing the fact that, hey, I'm not getting the rest that I need. And so being able to be intentional and actually marking on the calendar, hey, this day is set aside for rest. Because, again, we work from rest, not for rest.
Yeah.
And so that's something, maybe it's something that simple that it starts with that for you for 2024 is, hey, I'm going to put aside one day in the calendar week, every week throughout the year, to intentionally spend time resting.
Come on. Those are rhythms.
Yeah.
And those are super important. Third question is my pace sustainable? This one's a tough one. I don't like this one a whole lot.
No.
Because typically my pace is not sustainable. And a few weeks ago, I had somebody share with me that cars are designed to idle. Cars are designed to go full throttle. They're never designed to live in either. Some people get stuck because they're just staying in idle. And a car that stays in idle, it ruins the car.
Yeah.
Like, you can't leave it in idle forever.
Right.
A car that revs and blows RPMs, right? Red needle in it, pedal to the metal. What happens? You blow the engine.
Yep.
Cars can idle. They can go full throttle. But they weren't designed to live in either. And so the question is not like, when do I idle? When do I full throttle? When am I in between? There's a season for all of it.
Yeah.
Is your pace sustainable? Because if your pace is not sustainable in 2024, you can tweak that. You can figure out how to slow down a little bit. You might need to figure out how to ramp up a little bit. I don't know what it is, but you can kind of help figure out what your pace is. And also, I've been doing this exercise with myself lately because 2 weeks ago, I got super overwhelmed by everything that I've got going on. And was overwhelmed with like building a new facility, which, I'm going to put it on record right now. Building a church facility is like living constipated. You know you need to go, but you can't. Like, dude, it's brutal sometimes because you have to go. You need to go. You want to go, but you can't go.
Yeah.
And so there's this big tension. So I got all this building stuff going on, and I got super overwhelmed with that and some church stuff, some Selah leader stuff, and then some personal stuff. And finally I just I stepped back for a second, and I looked, and I said, which of these timelines are self-inflicted? What I figured out is my pace panic was my fault.
Yeah.
I was the person that wrote all those deadlines. I was the person that said this has to be done this week, and this has to be done this week. This has to be done today. And so some of you may have the opportunity to learn from my mistake and just kind of go, how much of this pace problem is self-inflicted?
Yeah, that's good.
And if it is, assess it and move on. And then last question for you is, how do I know if I'm winning in 2024? How do I know if I'm winning in 2024? So, huge question, because if you don't figure out your wins, you will always feel like a failure.
Yeah.
So, wins are really important. It's also important because if you don't have a target for your wins, then you will just move them based on comparison to where other people are winning on social media and things like that. So clearly define what your win is. And once you know what a win for you in 2024 would look like, then run the race.
Yeah.
Put the rhythms in place, build sustainably, run efficiently, win, and don't make your win like we have to go from, if you're a leader that leads a group of 3 people, don't be like, winning for me is leading 3,000 next year. Like, bro, lead 6, double. Like, that's cool. Maybe that's not double.
Yeah.
As a follower of Jesus, and because this is a biblical podcast, here's what I would say. Maybe you should ask God what your win in 2024 would look like.
Yeah.
Like, he wants you to win. He knows the plans that he has for your life, and they're plans for good. They're to prosper you, not to harm you. So why not ask him?
Absolutely. I love that. No, I completely agree. And I think, I think for all of us, everybody looks for the little wins, but like, what is that one big win? What is that one big thing that God desires for you? And he needs you to run the race. He needs you to do your part.
Yeah, so good, man. So good. Well, man, what do we have for the end of our episode today?
So at the end of every episode, we do a leader submitted question. And this episode's leader submitted question comes from Randy, who asks, what is one decision you wish you didn't make this year?
Ugh. Well, don't like you, Randy. No. Man, there are some times in life and in leadership where you've got this sense in your gut that you shouldn't move forward in relationship with somebody or in partnership with somebody. And I felt that with a particular avenue that I was leading in. Felt like this would not be the best partnership or relationship. And I don't know if I said yes because I didn't want to hurt their feelings or didn't know how to articulate the, I don't feel called to do that side of things. But there was a particular group of people that I said yes to do some stuff with. And in doing it was like, nah, this ain't it. And the good thing is, because of what we read in Scripture, God works out all things for good.
That's right. That's right.
He has a purpose. It was to prosper. There were guys that got a lot from it. But it was a reminder this year that the Spirit of God that lives within us gives us discernment for a reason. And my inability to trust that caused me some frustration down the road. So, just a piece of encouragement, man. Listen to your check engine light with the Spirit.
That's good.
Because he knows what he's talking about.
That's good. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I think that's always one of those things. Like, it always feels like you have to trust those instincts, but at the same time, you're like, yeah, but my instinct could be wrong in a particular case. And there are cases where that does happen, where our instinct is completely wrong. But like some of that too is you do have to trust the Spirit within you. You have to trust the Spirit of God that ultimately He's providing you the discernment and the decision making to know when you're making the right ones and also when you're making the wrong ones at the same time.
Yeah, it would have probably been better. I mean, I had some other people in my life that are close to me that were like, I don't know about that, and I was like, nah, like it'd be fine. Nah, it wasn't. And so, listen to the counsel and the people that you've got in there because, man, God brought them into your life for a reason. So, hey, thanks so much for checking out our last episode of the year.
Come on.
Episode number 12.
Yeah.
I don't know of many things I do consistently for a full year. So thanks, Darren, for helping make this happen. And we're so grateful for you for tuning in. Hey, take a second, hit the like button, comment, subscribe, share, send this to your fourth cousin, and we'll see you in 2024. Hey, thanks so much for checking out this month's episode of the Selah Leaders Podcast. Darren and I are so grateful that you chose to spend some time with us today to check it out. But do us a favor, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, comment, share it with a friend, family, or another leader in your life. It would truly make a huge difference.
Yeah, and if you'd like more information, jump over to selahleaders.com. Every episode.
Hold on one second. By the way, there's some kind of thumbs up that keeps popping up on the video. I have no clue if it's going to actually be there or not.
Oh, no.
What is it?
Oh, no. So every time you do a thumbs up, it shows up on the screen?
No, like a second ago in the video, it just like randomly, like 2 times it's thrown random thumbs up.
Really?
Yeah.
Like a little bubble above your head? Oh, no.
What happened?
I hope that doesn't do that. So there's this new feature within Mac OS that... Are you kidding me? So apparently if reactions is turned on, it will do it even in OBS Studio. Oh, Lord. I don't know how I'm going to get rid of that. But
well, it shouldn't be. If it's just coming from the computer.
No, it'll end up in the video. I think it will. We'll look at it when it's done. But yeah. Oh no. All right. All right. Yeah. So at the end of every episode, we do a.
Hold on. You're not on you.
I can see myself there.
I'm glad
All
we
right.
caught that.
Yeah, me too.